We are going to talk about creating a title for this short piece of writing. When you are titling a piece of writing, like your personal narrative story, you want to make sure it is short and you also want to make sure it's connected to the story. I wrote here a story about a morning that I had. I would like to read that to you now, and then I'd like to show you the process I had when I was thinking about titling. One thing I'd like to mention before we begin, we normally do not take the first sentence and make that a title. It is okay to use a word that's in there or a phrase, but do not make your whole sentence of your first paragraph the title of your story. Now I'm going to read to you my story. Mornings can be such a nightmare. One morning I woke to the gentle ping ping of rain on my roof. I soon realized that I had overslept by 45 minutes and I was going to miss the bus. First, I quickly got out of bed, but I tripped and fell. I then ran to the bathroom and grabbed my toothbrush. My toothbrush slipped out of my hand and fell into the toilet with a splash. Next, I realized that my soccer uniform that I needed for Team Picture Day was still in my bag unwashed from Saturday's game. I gave up and decided that I was going to school in my pajamas. I ran for the door and I could see the bus flying away. I started to run so fast I looked like I was flying, but I tripped and fell into a giant mud puddle with big, gnarly worms. Then finally, I woke up to the sound of my alarm clock. I hate nightmare mornings. Well, my story was about a time that I was actually asleep and I had a nightmare. So when I'm thinking about my title, I need to connect what happened in my story to my titles. So just for some basic review, when you are making a title, make sure you find that center align button. If you're using Google Docs or Microsoft Word or Canvas, they look very similar. Hit it one time to center align. So when I'm thinking about my story, it was about a morning. So I'm going to try morning. There was a little bit more to that than morning. It was a bad morning. Let me try the bad morning. That's a little bit better. It connects the reader to story to know it's going to be about a morning that was not good. But a lot of it was about that nightmare. It could have been looked at two ways. It could be that the morning itself was a nightmare. In the dream, the girl did not have her soccer uniform. Her toothbrush fell into the toilet. And also, she was missing the bus and she even fell into a big mud puddle with gnarly worms. Whew, that was a rough morning. So I'm thinking I'm going to change bad to, and I'm going to get rid of the to and call it nightmare morning. I like how that connects to the story because all the events that happened to the girl, which is actually me, was bad. And me, myself, was actually having a nightmare. So when you're making your own titles, find a way to connect to the story that's short. Make sure your title is meaningful to the story as well. Now, what I'd like you to do is when you go back to your personal drafts, make sure that your title is connected and short. And please remember to make sure that your title is not just the first sentence of your first paragraph. We want to avoid that. Okay, guys, now go back to your drafts and start looking at your titles and make sure they're short and make sure they're connected.